Ο Luigi Paganetto είναι ομότιμος καθηγητής των οικονομικών και πρόεδρος του Tom Vergata Economic Foundation. The floor is yours.
First of all, I want to thank very much the organizer to invite me at this interesting meeting. And in the screen, I suppose, it appears my slides. Okay. My points are listed in the screen, and my conclusion is that the crisis could be turned into a political window of opportunity. I try to explain you as this could happen. First, there is an unsuccessful migration policy of Europe. No clear policy of refugees crisis is emerging in Europe. The European southern borders are still linked to the Dublin agreements that are creating great trouble, as everybody knows. The Frontex has a real difficulty to manage the borders. And the complexity of the problem you have to face is even greater if it is taken into account that many refugees are departing from Europe, not from their countries, but from places of first asylum such as Turkey, Jordan, and Lebanon. And the EU-European-Turkey agreement in November 2015 are directed to face the problem, providing 3 billion euros to Turkey as a contribution to the refugees' asylum, but it's not enough, and it's not the right solution. The European Union promoted a formula to distribute 160,000 asylum seekers across the European Union over a 2-year period, a plan that now seems insignificant in the face of the nearly 1 million arrivals in 2015. A substantial disagreement emerged among European countries on the immigration quotas proposed by European countries, and this is something very difficult to be faced. The cost of forcing more Europe or member states are likely to outweigh the benefit because Brussels catalyzed the firestorm reaction, particularly among Eastern member states. And frontline states such as Greece and Italy bear a disproportionate responsibility for receiving new arrivals. So, the failure of the European efforts so far to both convince states to make place available for refugees and to persuade significant numbers of refugees to participate in the relocation scheme comes from the choice of the refugees themselves. Most of the newcomers quickly move on the wealthier European Union countries, including Sweden, Germany, which in 2015 received almost half of all asylum applications. The slide shows the distribution between the different states of the asylum application. And it's obvious that this is quite important, looking to not only to the absolute number of refugees, but also to the percentage of the refugees on the population of each state. The the slide on the right part of the what is on the screen. So, reestablishing borders control is a consequence of the migrant crisis, also affecting cross-border commuters. I want to stress this point because we have a problem of migrants, but we have a problem of cross-borders commuters. About 1.7 million people in the Schengen area earn their salary in a different country to where they live. These people would be directly affected by the reintroduction of borders control. Waiting times on the border would make their commute more difficult and increase economic cost. In the long run, widespread permanent border control would decrease trade between Schengen countries by a factor of 10% to 20%. On the screen, you see the numbers of commuters, cross-border commuters, and the nationalities of the commuters that are involved in this kind of problem. Next, okay. This slide shows the cost of non-Schengen. If Schengen would be abolished, the GDP of Schengen area would be reduced by 8.8%, 0.8%. And an additional impact will be for foreign investment and financial flows. So let me mention one problem more, because refugees and migration are not so different group of people. I think that in the longer term, but in the next future, really, we have to face a problem of migrants that would be very important. The United Nations models I show indicate that there is a problem that will be affecting for many years Europe. And the main problem comes from Africa, and so a problem comes to Europe. And let me add one point more, that development will be not influencing this trend, despite the idea that development could be influencing the trend, because the development has an effect increasing the number of those having the information and resources needed for migration, increases inequality, and then the propensity to be a migrant, changes the economic structure. So there is no more dynamism and not less dynamism in this kind. Conclusion, the decision taken in the recent Malta meeting to create a 1.8 million fund in favor of the countries where the migration originated will be not able to stop immigration, because development is not a way to stop immigration. It has to be done, but it's not a way to stop immigration. So let me conclude saying that if you take into account that any estimation about cost and benefit of migrant influx tends to support the idea that the migration and cost and benefit will be equilibrating in the medium run, and the economic positive effect of refugees is estimated by the IMF in an increase of 0.5 or 1.21% if you take into consideration the main destination of the refugees, Austria, Germany, and Sweden. So it seems to me clear that you have a problem to be looking in the longer run, but also solved in the shorter run. General conclusion, this is my conclusion, obviously. the cost of securing the external borders now and tomorrow is a priority, and integrated those immigrants and refugees who are accepted will far exceed that what current budget of European Union anticipated. The reality is that Europe is spending more or less 143 million of euro for looking to the borders. United States spend 32 billions, not million, billions annually for controlling the borders. So the current crisis, as my conclusion, will be at the end force Europe to adopt a common external borders control, as in traditional statehood using common financial resources. But moreover, the consequence for Europe would be not only to have common rules for immigration, but also to have a common fiscal space pushing European Union toward more integration. Let me say,
thank you.
This, I stop here. Let me say, it's quite important to look to immigration at the common fiscal space together, because we are talking generally looking to fiscal common space and migration as two different problems. Now, the problem comes that if you look at the perspective that I mentioned to you, would be a solution today feasible to create a fiscal space or a fiscal common space, and this could be, as I said, a political window of opportunities for Europe. Thanks.